Hey, it's David. This is the MyNAMS. What are we calling this? This is the Fast Business Startup Virtual Workshop. And this is homework number 5, and we're calling this a bonus today, and it is a bonus. We have had to make a few changes in our approach to this due to some unforeseen circumstances, but the thing that we decided to do, kick it off this morning with, was some tools that we use, and the tools that we use are these kind of tools that we have adopted over the last many years, that we've adopted, that are basically the cornerstone of our business. Now, these are all traffic tools, traffic and foundational tools that we use. And you're going to find over time, as you get more and more into your business, and maybe you're already got a good business, but you're going to want more traffic. That's what happens to everybody. We want more traffic. Now, I was reading something from a friend this morning online today, and he said that over this period of pandemic, he's sending out emails from home to his 1.2 million people online. Now, somebody with 1.2 million people online, if you think of an average of $1 per subscriber per month, which is what most people will tell you the average online income is, that ain't bad, is it? And the way to get that is to drive a lot more traffic and convert a lot more people to your list for prospects and buyers. That's what the business is all about, and that's what we're going to focus on over the next couple of hours. Now, today's training is going to be no more than 3 hours. If we get through all of these tools today, great. If we don't, I will spend the next couple of days recording additional demonstrations to plug into the homework in your learning center. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do today, well, first let me just go through what our agenda is. And I will show you, here's our first thing we're going to do is go through WordPress, and we're going to do these things in this order. Amy is going to show us how to install WordPress securely, and she's going to do it on a blank cPanel for my business. And so it's just, we cleaned something out yesterday, and we're just going to go ahead and do it again today and show you how quick and easy it is and secure. You want to do it in a secure way. Then we're going to look at the NAMS Tweak Composer, and then we're going to look at the NAMS Income Stream Calculator, and then we're going to look at Keyword Atlas. Keywords are the backbone of your business. And I'm going to tell you why we landed on Keyword Atlas instead of Longtail Pro when we get there. Let's see, iWriter. I'm going to show you iWriter for getting content created fast. Video Dashboard, which is where we create a bunch of videos. I created like 10 videos on Thursday using Video Dashboard, and they're pretty nice with templates. And PostBlazer, we're going to look at that. Then Vidnami, which used to be Content Samurai. I have no idea why they changed their branding. It's like New Coke. It's not, I don't understand it. But anyway, this is for creating long form videos as well as sales videos, those kind of things. And PiktoChart, I believe, is our last one. PiktoChart is the infographic tool that I use. There are many different infographic tools out there, but this is just the one I use, and it's my preference. And we'll get to all of these, okay? So Amy, welcome. This is Amy Baer. Her company is called eHemisphere. And Amy is the person that we use for all of our WordPress maintenance, WordPress updates, and she does a lot of other work for us in our technical work for us in our system. Now, Amy has her own company, which is a WordPress, what do you call it, Amy? WordPress agency kind of thing? Yeah, development. There you go. And Amy, I'm going to tell a little story about Amy. Amy came to us as an insider. She just showed up as an insider, and like boom, she took it over. I mean, she was all over the insider calls. She was asking a bunch of questions. She had a gardening site that she was getting great traffic to and not monetizing. She was doing only Amazon, pretty much, affiliate links at that point. And we started talking to Amy about the kinds of things that she did and what she loved to do. And Amy, I'm going to let people in on a little secret. You did not know a lot about gardening. Is that right?
That would be true, yes.
But gardening was going to be your website. And so we asked her
I
what she
liked it.
really liked to do, and it was she loved building WordPress sites. And so we made her switch. We focused her on doing this. And you've been an insider now over 2 years, is that right?
E3.
Yeah, okay. And you've gone from like almost very little income, let's just say that, very little income,
Yes.
to now full-time as a WordPress person. And so
Yes.
congratulations. We're glad to have you here. So today you're going to install WordPress. You're going to show people how to install WordPress, and you're going to show them, maybe we can switch in there how we actually install Beaver Builder as well, if they have as a demonstration, and drop in a Beaver Builder template. I kind of springing this on you, and we're going to try to get
You
this done in
already do
about an
that all the
hour.
time.
Is that okay?
Yes, let me make sure that I should have Beaver Builder downloaded to my computer. So let me
Well,
make
we're
sure.
going to show people where to get it too.
Oh,
If they're
okay.
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 All right. You ready to take it away?
I am. Sorry everybody, new territory for me, go to webinar. So I see the click to start screen sharing. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and everybody sees it. Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. Okay.
We are seeing your entire screen. Right. So make this big
Okay.
so I will watch the questions. So don't worry about that.
Okay. Okay, so I am on, so David gave me, I've had, I guess, about 24 hours notice to do this presentation. So I'm winging it a little bit. So everybody, please forgive me for any challenges I run into. So I'm on David's cPanel. For those of you who are not terribly like web host literate, most web hosts now have what's called a cPanel, and the cPanel has a bunch of apps, as you can see, that have to do with putting up, basically your website. And so David's cPanel has an apps installer called Softaculous, if that rings a bell.
Hold on.
Yes.
So we're going to back up just a little bit, and I hope you don't mind if I do this all the way through, is just to try to make sure that everybody understands where we are and what we're doing. Okay?
No, please do. Yeah.
Okay, so to get to cPanel, usually this is the thing that when you go to your host and your host says, here's your, like you just sign up for something from your host, and your host sends you an email and it says, here's where you log into your server. And when you get there, there's probably a cPanel already installed, because that's how most hosts control their system. Now, cPanel changed their pricing last year, and some folks went to some other things other than cPanel, but they're pretty much all the same. So what you see first when you log into your hosting account is cPanel, okay? So just give people an idea of what cPanel looks like as you go down through here. There are different sections.
Sure. And so cPanel, from what I actually had at the beginning of the year, David's web host, Liquid Panel, tried to move us over to a cPanel alternative that basically they purchased. And I had a little side chat with one of the tech support, and she encouraged us heavily to stick with cPanel because it's really stable. So that's just, a little NAMS insider tip for all of you. If they try to pull you off cPanel and put you onto something else, maybe stay on cPanel, even if it costs a little bit more, because it'd be worth your sanity to do so. So over here, you can see they've got a file section, right? So if I opened up the file manager here, and I'm not going to do that for security reasons for David, but that would show all of the files that are associated with the website for betterdad.com, which is the website we're experimenting on today. And then WordPress, of course, has databases attached to it. So there's databases. Here are all the domain information, email, metrics, security. I don't really deal much with the security in the cPanel. I usually do it from the WordPress point of view. I know that there's various philosophies on that. And here's some of the software, here's some advanced stuff. And then down here is the Softaculous apps installer. And so Softaculous makes it really easy to install applications onto your website, regardless of what that is. So you can see the Joomla on here. Joomla is an alternative to WordPress. And then here are a couple of shopping carts that you can add to your site. Here's a real estate app, etc. So I subscribe to the philosophy of choosing the easiest path. Now, there are a lot of die-hard WordPressers out there or programmers out there who would say, you know, I don't use a wizard to install WordPress, but I do because, and I want you all to say this with me, I choose ease, and this is the easiest way to do it.
So and having said that, I choose secure because we've been hacked before. And so
yes.
When Amy and I talked about this, as long as you focus on securely installing your WordPress the correct way, you can do it however you want. And also somebody said, are there different themes because my cPanel looks different? And yes, there are different. Your cPanel might look different depending on the theme that you have chosen. Yes.
Okay. And the web host too. So I have Bluehost as my web host, and their cPanel, I actually pulled it up this morning. Their cPanel looks completely different than David's, but they all have basically the same backbone to them. They're just a little bit different look.
Okay.
So here is the Softaculous wizard for setting up WordPress, right? And so I'm just going to click on Install Now. And so here's the version they want to install. 5.4 is the newest version today. And then this is kind of a big deal. All of your websites have got to be SSL certified. Not certified. What's the word I'm looking for, David?
Compatible.
Compatible, yes. So Google will now punish you if your website does not say HTTPS, if it does not have the secure socket layer integrated into it. And they do that by basically putting up this big warning sign at the top of the browser, right up in here, that will give an unlock. It'll show a little unlock up here, and it says this site is not secure, which is not necessarily true, I feel. But they do that to kind of force everybody into compliance. And this is not because Google is bad. This is because they're trying to keep everybody secure, because there are major security issues out there nowadays with websites, as David just attested to. So take note over here. The first thing that they want to do is they want to put this new WordPress install into a subfolder of the website. And we don't want to do that because we want the entire website to be WordPress. Now, I should preface that David already has an existing site that's WordPress. I did not go through and totally clear it out yesterday, David, because of the database issue. So I'm hoping that Softaculous will just let me write over the top of the existing one. If not, then we'll go back in here to in directory. I'll put in a temp or something, and then we'll just use that. So
yeah, and let's explain that for just a second, because people can have multiple installs of WordPress on their domain if they put in a new directory, right?
Yes, they can, as a matter of fact. So that's kind of a cool thing. I have a couple of clients who have, you know, basically multiple installs set up on the same website based domain name. So we've got better-dad.com. So I have one client who has 2 installs on her site, and one of those is specifically a site, a new install for contractors to get in to access their products. So
and we have on MyNAMS, we have a development and a support desk and all those kind of things that are all separate installs.
That's true, exactly. And then the other thing is also is that learn.mynams.com is a subdirectory of mynams.com, and so that has its own install, even though it's still part of MyNAMS. Okay. And so I gave our site name of Better Dad, and then the site description, because I don't really have a site description. We can always go back in and change that, and I'll show you all how to do that later. So this is something that we want to change up. So see how this admin username just says admin? Every hacker on the planet knows that. So today we're going to call it Better Dad Admin, and I'm going to give it, we're going to call
actually
it,
just take the admin off.
Okay, so yes, okay, that's even better. So we're going to do better dad 32. Hold on, I'm going to write this down because that's not going to retain because it's still early. And then here's the password, which of course we're not going to keep. So see how this particular Softaculous apps has a generate random password. So in my mind, this is actually not long enough. So I'm going to go up here to LastPass. Go ahead, David.
And you'll notice, by the way, it says strong, 65 out of 100.
Yes.
Below that, I like 100 out of 100.
Yes. So we're going to do 19 character password here. And I'm going to copy that, and then we're going to pop that baby in. So there we go. There's our 100 out of 100. And so we don't lose track of that. I'm going to open up Notepad, and I'm going to save this. This is really important, y'all. There is nothing more frustrating than you setting up this big crazy password and then realizing after the fact that it didn't actually get recorded anywhere. Okay, and then the admin email, I'm actually going to put in my email address so that we know that
address in there.
Yeah, well, we could put in David's email address. We just want an email address that we know we can actually access. And I'm going to leave all this for later. So for selecting plugins, we're not going to use this Loganizer. I have another security plugin we're going to use. We could use the classic editor, but I want to show you all the difference between installing this plugin and not installing this plugin. So we're going to wait on that. Here's advanced options. So here is where they actually give the database a name. So I'm just going to leave this alone as a default.
Hold on one second. Yeah. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. One of the things that I always try to do when I do the installs or have the installs done is make sure that the WP is off the databases and something else is there.
Oh, yes.
Because we don't want, because that's easily guessable. Yeah. That'd be good. That'd be better. Right.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay, perfect. So
now, do you have to change the one above? Yeah, you do. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So let's see. And Liquid Web is one of the only that really kind of do this automated backups. Or actually, I should say it's David's plan that does these additional backups. I have a backup plugin that I really like to use that I'll tell you all about in a second. And we're going to also install that on Better Dad just so you can see it.
Okay.
And I'm not going to select a theme because we're going to use Beaver Builder. Oh, okay. So we're going to overwrite all these files. Remember I mentioned David's site already has them. So we're going to overwrite them. Let's make sure I didn't mess that all up. Let's see. And if
you do, it's easy to get rid of it. You just go in and you delete the whole. Yeah.
So great. That's the beauty. Okay, so in the space of 2 seconds, that WordPress has already been installed. So if we go here to better-dad.com, here is the base install page right here. WordPress is already done. This is what I like about using the wizards because we choose ease, right? So for those of you who are not familiar with WordPress, this is the WordPress dashboard right here. And so let's see, let me take a look at my notes. So the first thing I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and install plugins.
So plugins, before you go away from that dashboard, you might see something on your host that has, and probably not, because we control our host pretty well, but move your mouse there for a second. Yeah, so see the PHP update required?
Yeah.
The reason I want to bring this up is because when you update your PHP, it's always good to do that. If this was a brand new clean site, it would be good to do that but we have so many things on this server. We do this in a very methodical and systematized way because PHP is the software, the base software that all of the WordPress and everything else is built on. And so if you update it, which you should over a period of time, but if you update it, it can change how something reacts if you've already got it installed. So I just wanted to make sure that when people, if they see this and they see an error there, I want them to understand that we do that purposely. Okay, so.
Yes, and to piggyback onto that, when we were running PHP updates on the MyNAMS site, and heck, even on my eHemisphere site, I backed my site up, including the database, so that if the whole thing crashed and burned, then I could always restore it from a backup. So here's the other really important part of this, is you want to make sure that where you're backing that site, you don't back that site up to your web host. You want to back that site up to some place where you can get access to it. So Google Drive, Amazon Web Services, someplace, your hard drive, it doesn't matter. Back that back up someplace where you can easily access it in case your site crashes and burns. Anytime we do major upgrades or updates to the MyNAMS sites, again, I run a backup. I make sure I can see that backup. I make sure it's complete and that we can access it. And then we do the major updates. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how absolutely critical that is and how many times my little derriere has been burned by not doing that. Okay, done with the little mini lecture. I'm going to dismiss this because it's kind of in my way, but this is just a little WordPress kind of wizard link to get you started. So I'm going to go back over here to plugins, and we're going to take a look at the plugins that Liquid Web installed for us right away. Oh, look at that. They kept all your plugins.
How about that?
So that's interesting. Okay, so none of these plugins are activated, as you can see. Now, normally, if you're doing a brand new install, you're going to see Akismet. You're going to see Hello Dolly, which is the dumbest plugin ever made. I just don't understand why it still exists. It does nothing.
It does nothing.
Nothing. And then sometimes so for me, with Bluehost now has a plugin that they install to kind of, I don't know, monitor the sites better. And then there's usually a fourth one, but of course I'm blanking on it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and activate Akismet. Now, Akismet is an anti-spam plugin. It's been around since like dust, literally. So they're really good, and you don't have to pay for their plugin, but I choose to pay for them because I'm grateful to them for monitoring my spam for me. So I'm not going to make you all torture through all this, but normally what they want you to do is set up an Akismet account, which basically means you're going to enter in, a username and a password, and then you're going to put in an API key. They also have been doing that. I don't ever remember them not doing that. I'm sure at one time when they first put their plugin into place, they did. But I'm going back quite a few years, and I don't ever remember them not forcing me to log in. And I'm okay with that, and I'm okay with paying them, the $18 a year I do, because they do such a good job with the spam. Okay, so off my sales spiel, let's go back. And so there, if y'all are taking notes, there are several plugins that I kind of consider super critical. And so Akismet is one of them. And then the other one you want is a security plugin. And so let me see what you've got on here, David. I don't see iThemes on here. So
they're probably not.
Yeah. So we're going to add iThemes. Now, iThemes has two different plugins. iThemes is a security plugin.
Okay, hold on.
Sorry.
So let's talk about the plugins for a second and how to, and what's in the background of WordPress, because WordPress.org is a host for plugins. Now we have gone through the process of getting a couple of plugins installed in the WordPress.org repository, and you got to jump through a bunch of hoops to do development in their standard way, their secure way, and everything. So anything that's on there that has been updated, first off, it had to jump through the hoops to get accepted. Then they have to jump through the hoops to continue to be active and secure. So anything that's on there is usually pretty well tested.
So take note, what David is saying here. So iThemes security is clearly popular. This is also really, really important right here.
Yep.
You want to make sure that it was last updated very recently. See this iThemes sync 21 hours ago. Here, this affiliates manager that just popped up, last updated 6 days ago. This is really, really important stuff. You do not want to install a plugin that was last updated a year ago. I'm a little bit of a I'm a little bit of a anti-plugin girl in terms of the plugins you install need to be really strategic.
Yep.
There are many occasions that I've run into with various sort of clients, and I won't name names, where there have been a lot of plugins installed on their site, and the plugin code will write over the top of other plugin code. And then at some point, the plugins start to conflict with each other, which causes problems on the site.
Yep.
And so if there is any way at all for you to manually do whatever needs to be done to not have to install a plugin. So for example, I've seen plugins that will make your website go SSL. I will work really, really hard to try to force that website to go and do the HTTPS and play nice for me by going in there and trying to manually change out the code behind the scenes than I will installing that plugin. So it's just like one example. Okay, so I'm going to activate this. And so over here is automatically this nice little security thing right here, right? So the security is basically the iThemes. I'm going to open up a new tab so we don't go away from our little plugins page here. So see the security check? This is really nice. iThemes will run you through a little wizard to help you secure your site. So you can see where they've enforced password enforcement. Now, sometimes you have to kind of back out of some of this stuff. We've actually run into issues on learn.mynams where we've had some issues where iThemes has gotten a little too enthusiastic. But for the most part, it works, right?
So let's talk about iThemes for a second, because iThemes is just one of many security plugins. A lot of people like WordFence, Malwarebytes, other stuff that's out there, Semantic, all of that. But iThemes is what we've settled on because we like the services that we get with the paid subscription to it, as well as there's just a lot of stuff that you can do with iThemes.
Yes, and that's actually really nice. So if you go pro, which David and Jen have, then you also get these other options in here too. So one of the things that this website iThemes will let you do is, so take note up here. See this right here? It's very standard for all websites that are WordPress related to have this right here be the login URL. And so people who are trying to hack into your site, they will attack this URL over and over and over again, trying to hack into your site to cause problems. And so iThemes has somewhere in here, I'd have to hunt it down, but somewhere in here, they have a place where you can actually change this URL very easily. So instead of WP-login, you could change it to dashboard, say. it could be, or maybe BD
Yeah.
dashboard, something like that. So they let you change this URL out, and that URL then will take you to this page still, but it doesn't look like this. It's different, so that
This is a
it makes
security
it
thing, so that hackers don't get in there is what you're talking about, right? So
exactly. And there's a lot of there's a lot of kind of philosophies on this. The web host will tell you, well, you don't need to do that as long as you have a really good password.
yeah.
But I can't begin to tell you how many clients I come across whose password to log into their WordPress site is their kid's name.
Yeah.
There's no
And the other
security
thing about
whatsoever.
I'm sorry, the other thing about this is that this is the login screen. When you go to the login, this is what you're going to come up with. So that password that you kept in your notepad is the password that goes in here. And notice the username or email address shows up there pretty much every time. So you can just start logging in. But as you start collecting more information, this is your entry point. This is my point of the whole thing. This is your entry point to your WordPress backend. Okay.
Yes, it is. It is. Sorry. Okay. So we talked about that. Okay. So the backup software that I'm going to install on this website is called Updraft Plus. And we like Updraft Plus a lot, or at least I do. And I have to tell you, there's again, this is all a matter of opinion. So I like Updraft Plus because I think they've made my life easier, but there are a ton of people out there who like other backup plugins. So you pick one that you like. What I do recommend is you find one that makes it really, really easy to restore. And so as I keep saying, my philosophy is I choose ease. Updraft makes it really easy to restore. Naturally, you don't have to use it. If you have one you like better, use that. But always, always, always do your own backups. So if we go here to Updraft, you can see that they have a little wizard set up, and they'll let you run your own backup. Now, we're not going to do that because we don't need to. Also, it'll take forever and a day, because what we have to do is we have to go over here to settings, and we have to tell Updraft where we want the backups to go. So depending on what you have set up, so mine kind of rotate between Google Drive and Amazon S3. And I also have a little Google Cloud experimental thing going on, so I think I did them too. So just depends on what you want to do. But I recommend that you run those backups regularly. I at least run the backups before I do. I religiously have this set up so that anytime I run plugin updates, I run a backup. That's all there is to it. So, and then this is really nice. So on the way that Updraft is set up, if you go to your plugin update, which is this right here, so this tells you that David has 11 plugins that need updated, right? So if I go here, let's go over here.
Yeah, I don't think I would do that.
Well, I'm not running updates. I'm trying to show something that, well, that's not going to show. But if we had Updraft Plus Premium paid up, this little section here would say automatically run backup before plugins are updated. And so I have it set up so that it just automatically runs the backup, and then it'll run the plugin updates for me. Okay, so let's see. So this is just kind of a matter of y'all going through and setting this all up. This premium extensions, if you pay for Updraft, then there's a bunch of options you get in here. Like you can easily clone your site over. If you want to make any major changes to your site, you can run a clone, or like you can duplicate the site very easily through Updraft. Okay, I'm looking at my other, Yoast. So the other thing we want is some kind of a plugin that helps with search engine optimization.
So as you're pulling up Yoast, I want to talk to people about what these plugins are. I mean, why you need plugins.
Okay, go ahead.
Because Plugins are basically the extended functionality of your basic WordPress. Over the years, WordPress has gotten easier and easier and easier as a basic content management system. It used to be a really difficult blogging platform years ago, many years ago. But because they extended it, then with all of the plugin developers who make money creating plugins, it's gotten so much easier. And most of the functionality that does the fancy stuff you see on WordPress site happens with plugins. And there's multiple layers of plugins. So you're looking at categories of plugins like security and SEO and link redirect and just all kinds of stuff. Everything you can think of. There's what is about 40,000 plugins now. I mean, it's crazy. So Yoast is one that she's on right now, which is going to give us better SEO control, which is really important for what we're going to talk about in our real training next weekend for creating content and driving traffic. So there you go.
Okay, and thank you, because Dave, I missed that whole very important part of why you would add the plugins, right? They extend the functionality and customize the websites in a way that is actually really cool. So and I won't get too much into Yoast because you could go down a big rabbit hole here. But this is important. You want to make sure that it'll create an XML sitemap for you, because Google requires that if you want them to crawl your website. Can't begin to tell you how important. And then this is the verification codes. This is probably not a bad one to get. The verification code means that Google Search Console, which is how Google will know to connect your site with people who are organically searching. So for example, in David's case, storytelling, what is it? What's the keyword, David? Storytelling templates?
Free storytelling templates? Free
storytelling templates. David and Jen are #1, or at least were last time I checked, for the keyword phrase, free storytelling templates. We were able to see that and discover that because we connected Google Search Console with the MyNAMS website. So we can go down that rabbit hole later, but just so you're aware. And then I'm going to add a new post real quick, David, just to show people where you find Yoast in the website itself. Because it's more than just filling out that little wizard over there. I'm going to close out of that. We'll discuss this in a second. So here, I'm adding a new blog post, right? So let's see, NAMS, right? And this is the blog post right here. And then if I scroll down, and here's the Yoast SEO extension right here. So here is where you're going to add in the stuff. Now please know that anything that you do in here doesn't affect really Google in any way. It's more like a guideline. So focus key phrase is the one primary keyword you want that web post to be associated with. So say we do free storytelling templates. And then what's going to happen is Yoast is going to say, hey, you know what? I have an unhappy face because I don't see free storytelling templates anywhere on your blog post whatsoever. And they're going to tell you what they feel, their opinion is of the problems with your website. Like, it doesn't have enough text. We don't like it. And so they'll tell you these things. And then, so the pie in the sky is that you make Yoast happy and you have all these little green lights here. Like they like my key phrase length. And then I've not used it before. But it's more like a guideline than anything else. But it helps you to make sure that your website or your blog post has the most likelihood to be crawled by Google and potentially to even make it to the first page. But that, David will go into that more later. So, okay, so the other one then, in terms of, let me go over here to view posts. The last plugin is one that's not free, but I'm going to mention it. Is that you need to optimize your website. A lot of the shared web hosts, the shared server. Okay, sorry, let me back up. In order, more affordable web host plans means you are on a shared server with other websites. So the downside to that is you're sharing server resources with potentially thousands of other websites, which could slow your website down. So you want to be able to optimize your website and make it kind of run as quickly as possible. The problem, one of the downsides to WordPress is it can be slow as molasses. And so one of the things that you want to do is try to optimize it. And so I use a plugin called WP Rocket. They're not free. In fact, they're kind of expensive. I think they're about $50 a year. In my mind, that's expensive for a plugin. But they do a good job of loading the website up and speeding it up. And we can go down this road later on if y'all want to. But there is another free plugin called, I think it's Auto Optimize. Is that right, David?
WP Optimizer?
WP.
Auto Optimize, maybe.
Auto Optimizer. Let's try Auto Op. And you also want to cache Auto Optimize. Did I spell that right? There it is, right there. So for free, you'll want to install this, and then you'll probably need to play with it in terms of getting it to speed your website up. And you'll go to a website called GT Metrics, and that will tell you how slow your website is loading and what issues that they see.
Go ahead and put Bad Dad, or not Bad Dad, but Better Dad in there and see what it says already.
Okay. So because the site's empty, it's probably not going to be too bad, but we'll see. What I could do is put in Edible Terrace, because Edible Terrace has its ups and its downs, and Edible Terrace is also super image heavy. Yeah, see, so David's page speed score is amazing.
Now,
right?
as you add things to your site, it's going to get slower and slower and slower. And so
Yes.
this is a constant battle. This is a constant battle to keep your website fast. Our MyNAMS site is in the C to D range most of the time. And that's good for us. So we really have worked on making it faster, and we've actually separated out websites from the training side is now completely separate from the marketing side, because you want your marketing side of the business to be a whole lot faster than your training side. You always focus on the marketing side being the faster. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so the problem with some of the older websites like MyNAMS is that they have a ton of images, and there's a ton of content, and then there's a ton of plugins, and all of these additions slow a website down. Yep. And in reality, Google tells you that they want your website to load in 3 seconds or less. I can't begin to tell you how really, really difficult that is. I mean, it's a fight. Yep. Yeah, it's a fight. Okay, so here you go. My poor little Edible Terrace this morning has a page speed score of below F, and it's loading in 9.3 seconds. Now, I have to tell you that when I ran this, because I worked on this website this week, because thanks to this pandemic we're in, there is a sudden enormous interest in people who want to grow their own food. So when I was on GT Metrics this week, I was a little bit better. I was at a C, and I think I was loading at 7 seconds instead of 9. So that tells you that how, so my serve scaled images is an F. There's a particular plugin that I use to scale my images. It clearly needs an update because this is normally not an issue. But so that's the problem. It's just a constant work in motion, and you feel like you're beating your head against a wall all the time. Okay, off my.
Okay, so where are we now? So we've got our Optimize installed, we've got our Kismet installed, we've got our Everything else, our security is installed, and we haven't shown you how to optimize any of those plugins. And you would just go to the tutorials on those plugins pretty much and see what the best practices are for each of those plugins. And we've got a gazillion questions that we're not going to be able to get to today. But as we go through this, Amy, let's talk about the Beaver Builder plugin, because that you need a page builder. And I don't care what your page builder is, we give Beaver Builder to our people from the Insiders Club. So if you're not an Insiders Club member, you need to be, because this will pay for itself right here. This is a $199 a year application, and you know your Insiders Club is not much more or less than that, depending on which plan you get. So if you activate the Beaver Builder installation plan, you're going to get, and right there, perfect. So it just pops right up with Beaver Builder, and you can start adding pages right away that come with templates. So, and make them look really nice. So this is how to create content fast, in my mind.
Yes, and here's the other really kind of important part of a page builder is the really decent page builders. So Beaver Builder is one of those. They're really well known. They run updates all the time. They're super responsive. They do a really great job. Here's the important thing. The page builders are responsive.
Yep.
Which means that the pages will kind of remold themselves, for lack of a better word, based on the device you're on. So if you're on your cell phone, the page will fit nicely to a cell phone. If you're on a tablet, the page will fit nicely to a tablet. That's the pretty important part and perk of a page builder. So we don't have the license in. Let me see if it'll let me still add a template.
I don't think it will, actually.
Okay. Do you want me to go get the license, or do you want me just to wait?
Yeah, go get the license. And while you're doing that, you can, I'll answer a few of these questions. We're going to do a little lightning round here. And I'm going to go back to all these questions, just run through them really fast, okay?
So I'm going to stop sharing my screen just for a second. I'll go get the license, pop it in, and then I'll reshare my screen. Is that all right with you?
Sure.
Okay. How did I do? Am I paused?
You're paused. Okay. All right, so we're still up here on WordPress. All right, so let's see. Can you recommend any host? So I put, I'm going to, NAMS.ws/A2. A2 is kind of the host that I'm recommending right now, especially for people who don't have anything set up, because it's very easy and they will set up your WordPress for you, and then you can get started working in there, and it's cheap. So you don't need anything big when you're first starting out, because you can always upgrade your hosting account. Let's see. Are there different themes on cPanel? Yes, we answered that. So Liquid, Amy said Liquid Panel earlier. That was Liquid Web. That's a premium host. That's the one that we use, and I think we pay close to $400 or $500 a month for that. Do you recommend particular hosting? A2? I talked about that.
May I jump in for just a second?
Sure.
I'm a really, really firm believer that if I can find the tech support phone number on the website easily for a web host, then I'm their girl. So if I remember correctly, A2 Hosting has their phone number someplace really obvious.
Yeah,
there's nothing more frustrating than having an issue with your website and not being able to call and have a phone conversation with somebody.
You got to get it fixed right now.
Yeah, and you can find a really good web host that has a decent tech support that you can call affordably, you know. Okay. So go ahead, David. Sorry, I just felt like I bring.
There's some questions about subdomains there, and that's beyond what we're doing today. So subdomains are basically your directories, and that's pretty much what we're going to talk about later. Or we won't talk about that today because this is really not a WordPress class. Will there be multiple insights? Are installs different web pages? So installs are different purposes. you can have a blog can have as many web pages on it. An install can have as many web pages or posts on it as you want. And you can have as many installs as your host will handle. So it is, if you think of it as an umbrella, your company being an umbrella, each install could be like a cabinet, a file cabinet with a bunch of file folders in it, and each file folder is a page and a post. That is way complicated for what you want here. What you want is a single install, and you want to get started with the tools that we're showing you so that you can really just get moving. The reason people get so hung up on technology is because they want to have everything. And really what we want you to do is start very, very, very simple, okay? And I made the same mistake. Everybody does, so don't worry about it. Let's see. Somebody says I'm also very security minded. That's great, because that's always going to help you. I had 2,000 websites one time. They were all hacked at the same time. The password generator is on the is there when you install it, and also in LastPass. But you can also get a password generator from the site as you install it, and you can always create your own. It doesn't matter. But random characters and random letters and numbers are the way to go. So setting up an email with your domain names, beyond this. There are tutorials on doing that. So we've got that. What is this database? So the database, WordPress stores everything that you do in databases. And so the databases are in the background, and you don't need to know anything else about the databases except that you installed one, pretty much, okay? And let's see.
The database holds all of the fields. So, for example, all of your content on a blog post will actually be in a field in the database.
Yeah. So why do you remove the WP from the databases? Because if people are going to, there's a hacking functionality called insertions, database insertions. And if I know that it is a WP78 is what I had there, and if I'm a hacker and I know that people are lazy about installing their data, not changing their database names and usernames, they'll leave the WP there, and it's easy to hack that because that's only 2 characters or 3 characters that you would have to figure out. So the reason you change that is so that people, it makes it a little bit harder. Okay, it's just not simple. A wizard is something that helps walk you through a process. That's all a wizard is. Can you make existing changes to WordPress to install to increase security? Absolutely, you can do that. And there's multiple ways of doing that, and you can spend a lot of time doing security, or you can hire somebody to help you with your security. Let's see. And that's done. Gil says, is a host something like GoDaddy? So this is a primary rule that a lot of people don't understand. If you buy your domain, for example, if you get your domain from simplenichedomains.com, that's us, that's our reseller. It is a reseller for GoDaddy. And so when you go into it, you're going to see GoDaddy. But you would never, ever want to host on the same service where you bought your domain. So if you buy your domain from GoDaddy, do not host from GoDaddy, because you don't want somebody to have the capability of shutting your business down. If you put your domain on, let's say, Namecheap or something else, and then you decide to host on GoDaddy, you're fine. If GoDaddy tells you they don't like your website for some reason, you're violating their terms of service, they will shut it down. But if your domain is someplace else, all you have to do is reinstall that backup that you've created on another host. If they control your domain too, you are done, because they will not give it back to you. So you don't ever want to put your domain and your hosting account on the same service, period.
May I piggyback onto that for a second too?
Yep.
The other thing you never want to do is if you are trying to hire out getting your website built, and the developer says you can just put your website on our plan,
Right.
Don't do it. You want to have complete, full control of your web
Yep.
host. So you want that to be your account. You want to be able to log in. You pay that bill every single month. You have complete, absolute control. I've had, run into issue after issue with clients who the relationship went south with the web host, and they were unable to get access to their website because the web host had, or the developer had control of the web host, and they couldn't get to their website.
Yep. Okay, so is the backup saved as one zip file or multiple files? It is saved as one zip file.
Well, it's multiple. On Updraft, it's multiple.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. A cPanel backup is one zip file.
Oh, yes. A cPanel backup is one big file. Yeah, which actually is great because the cPanel is everything.
Yeah, well, we're not going to get into that today either, but there's multiple types of backup. Your host should be able to create cPanel backups for you.
Yes.
So let's see. If you're not using plugins, you need to remove the plugins. We want to make sure that that's done. And
yes, that's very important actually, because if you're not using that plugin, it's disabled, but you're not, say, updating it, then you're just leaving a hole for a hacker to get into your website.
That's right. What's an API? An API is basically a communication key that integrates between your WordPress plugin or your WordPress site and some other third-party outfit like Google or I don't know who else. We use keys in our own plugins. So
yeah, Akismet. Yeah.
Akismet is a key. Yeah. Okay, so how do we install the site uses cookies plugin? That is GDPR and all that stuff. That is a plugin that you install, and we're not going to get into that either today, Greg. Beaver Builder, we're going to talk about. Are plugins auto-updated? Some are, and that's a setting. I think, Amy, is that not a setting that you can do so that you do or do not auto-update your plugins?
Only a couple of plugins from within the WordPress interface, like Updraft will say, do you want us to keep the plugin updated? Now, some of the web hosts will say automatic updates. I can tell you that WordPress itself, because WordPress will send down updates often, and so the web hosts a lot of times will run those WordPress updates for you. But boy, when you get an email from WordPress saying we updated your WordPress, install, you better go make sure that website's still up and running.
Yep.
Because I have run into occasion where that WordPress update has taken my site down. And I'm not trying to scare y'all, I'm just letting you know. But in reality, you kind of want to monitor your plugin updates, because I've had many occasion where a plugin update has crashed a site. So you want to be able to, you want to monitor that pretty closely, or have somebody monitoring it for you.
Cindy says, will you be showing us how to set up an Amazon S3 account? Cindy, we won't. There is training in the Learning Center on setting up Amazon S3, so you can check it out there.
There is, and it's actually pretty darn good. So
it is. Yep. Okay, let's see. How often do we have to do updates? We try to schedule those for weekly and monthly. One of the things about backups, by the way, is that if you're doing frequent backups, like let's say you did one every 3 days. If you're like us, you do them pretty frequently. You also want to you do monthly backups, because if I get hacked and we automatically back up, and I don't know that we get hacked, because sometimes you have sleeper malware if it gets in, and I don't know it's been hacked, but I back it up for 5 backups in a row. I don't want to restore the malware, so I want to go back further. So you'd like to have monthlies as well when you do your backup planning. Okay.
Yep.
Let's see. SSL plugin. Is SSL a plugin? No, you have to go to your host to get SSL, and some will charge you for that. But if you You can also find some that are free as well. Let's see. Is the free version of Yoast good enough? What do you think, Amy?
It is if you're not going to do heavy blogging. If your website is like My Edible Terrace, where blogging is basically kind of the life of the website, then I would recommend Yoast Pro because it has a lot of really great options that are kind of nice for heavy bloggers. But if your website is, I don't know, a chiropractic website, I'm just throwing something out, and it's not heavy on blogging, it's more informational, bring people to your site, bring people to your brick and mortar location, then I wouldn't worry about it.
Do you need a tablet or a computer to set up WordPress? You can do it on an iPad, right? As long as you use a wizard kind of thing.
You can. I feel like it's probably not as easy, but I'm
Right.
I'm a little old school. I'm a desktop girl. I totally admit that.
So what does Beaver Builder offer that would be better than Divi? So to tell the truth, I think the comparison between any of the top builders are, pretty similar. The reason we like Beaver Builder is that we had two before that we used Beaver Builder, and Beaver Builder was the lowest footprint, the smallest footprint at the time for memory and memory hogging. It also gave us the ability to be sure that if we changed to something else, that we could still back up our stuff. Now, one of the previous Visual Composer, I think it was something that we were using previously that encrypted all of your WordPress posts in the background. So you had to rebuild everything from scratch from that. And so we got out of that really quickly. And Beaver Builder, we wanted to make sure everybody in our Insiders Club got a good builder. And so we were able to secure that one as an add-on value for our Insiders Club members. And so that's why we use it and teach it. Does it matter if you load your theme before and after the plugins?
It does not.
Summarize the PHP upgrade info. That's something you want to talk about with your host. You shouldn't mess with PHP is my point.
I agree with that. Yeah. Have a conversation with the web host. Through your cPanel, you can actually upgrade the PHP yourself. But I would have the conversation with the web host, and then I would run that backup.
Robert says, David, you've got so many options to join. What's the best and easiest and cheapest way to get involved with your company? Go to nams.ws/trial, TRIAL, and you'll get into the Insiders Club there with the best deal on a 7-day trial. Okay. So when removing a plugin, is using the WordPress plugin deactivate enough, or do you need to go through cPanel?
No, if you totally remove that plugin and delete it, it will delete it from your file. But what it does not do is actually delete it from your database. And so we've had some occasions where we've had to, delete a plugin and then reinstall it. And a lot of times the settings will come back. But I have yet to ever run into an issue where we've deleted the plugin and then it has come back to haunt us in some way after the fact, if that makes sense.
Okay. A plugin list. Do you have a plugin list? Robert, it's dependent on what you need for your site. So each one, there's definitely a basic setup that you need, and Amy's kind of gone through that so far. Who do you like for buying domains name? From my registrar. It's simplenichedomains.com. And we give you the best price that you can get there. Okay. Great, thanks, Judy. She says this is incredibly helpful so far.
Thank you. Good.
And yes, there is a tool that you can, if you have multiple installs, you can see them all in one tool. We're not going to get into that today either.
There's a plugin called Multisite. I think it's WP Multisite.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, Elementor is a good one as well, Georgina. As a
Yes, we like
page builder.
Elementor a lot.
In fact, we use Elementor on
On the learning site.
learning center. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bluehost and HostGator. Now, Amy's on Bluehost, and I would tell everybody not to use Bluehost. Bluehost and HostGator are owned by a company called EIG, and EIG bought HostGator and Bluehost several years ago, and everybody was hosting with HostGator and Bluehost, and the service dropped like a rock for a year or two. And frankly, I don't know where they are right now with service. Amy, you must like them because you're there.
I do. I can't tell you not to go with HostGator. I think they have terrible customer service.
Yeah. Okay.
With Bluehost, my complaint with Bluehost is the speed, but that's because I am on a shared server. So, but what I can tell you is I feel like their customer service is stellar. I cannot begin to tell you how many times. I'm an old coder. I used to program in COBOL back for Y2K. So I'm telling you that to tell you this. I'm an experimenter. I love to go into my website and try out new little pieces of code I find, and I frequently crash my website doing that. And I can call a Bluehost, and they will save my butt every time. They will go in and fix whatever I broke without a problem. They never complain. They've never done me wrong. So that's what I like about Bluehost themselves. It's not the fastest, but I feel like their customer service is stellar. They also will let your rates with them will creep up. So I frequently have to call them every couple of years and go, hello, I don't know why you're charging me this much. And so that's my other complaint with them.
Yeah.
If it's in your budget, I totally recommend Liquid Web, to be honest. I think that's where NAMS is on. I think they're amazing.
Yeah. So, Patricia, I can't believe this. You said COBOL. I used to learn to program on punch cards with COBOL. Oh my God, COBOL. I understand. I did a little of that myself. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, SiteGround is also a good one, Steve. So SiteGround, A2, all of those are good ones. All right, Amy, so we're going to spend the next 15 minutes or so looking at Beaver Builder, and Elementor, by the way, is pretty much the same. So on the interfaces and stuff, and I like them both. So Amy, I want you to go through and show people how to install a template. Now, if you are part of the NAMS Profit Planner reseller program, we give you some of our own landing page templates, and it's just really easy when you want to go in and out and bring in a Beaver Builder template. And I want you to show us how to do that. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And those reseller, if for those of you who are not on the Profit Plans reseller, those templates are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Jen and David have their own graphic designer who is going to remain unnamed because he's our secret weapon.
Because we'll have to kill you all.
Yeah, we can't tell you his name, but he's really, really talented and creates gorgeous, gorgeous images and graphics. And so he created these pages and they're just beautiful. Okay, so one of the things I had to do was, in order to see the Beaver Builder tab, at least the easiest way for me was I had to go to plugins and I had to activate a plugin called Classic Editor. I don't know, maybe this was 2 years ago or so. WordPress changed. Huh?
Gutenberg.
Gutenberg, yeah.
That was Gutenberg.
So,
yes.
So a few years ago, WordPress changed it up, and they created their own basically page builder for WordPress. And so far, I don't think anybody really likes it. And so if you go to the Classic Editor, it will then put you back into a way that it actually looks like you're in a WordPress document. You can see that you can do a heading 1, a heading 2, etc. Type in and make it easier to find, or actually to write out a WordPress page. But in this case, I'm going to go to this Beaver Builder tab right here. So I activated Beaver Builder in the plugins, right? And now this second tab shows up for me. And I'm going to click on that. And then you're going to see, I don't need to do their little builder. Okay, so hold on, I have to move this over. So what pops up? Can you all see this? Can everybody see this?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what pops up
Yep.
is this dashboard for Beaver Builder. And if I go to templates right here, you can see that Beaver Builder comes with a bunch of templates already created for the web page. So here, we're going to do this nice one because it's some guy surfing. And so I'm not sure why it's laying out so weird like this, but here's the template right here. And you can see that they put in these modules for you so that you can kind of create the page however you want it to look.
So I can tell you a little bit about why that's laid in like that. Because
Yes,
our
please do.
main theme on the site is set up to be a something
Oh,
controlled post, right? And so
yes.
we don't have a blank. You start with a
I know
blank
what the
screen.
issue is. Yeah,
Okay,
I
there you go.
didn't make the theme, so forgive me, everybody. I
You're
messed up a
forgiven.
little bit. Thank you. So I needed to make the theme. So Beaver Builder has a page builder, and then Beaver Builder has a theme. And I needed, so currently the theme is 2020. So let's see if Beaver Builder's theme is on here. It's not. Let me see if I have that on my computer. So I'm going to add new theme. And of course, unfortunately, WordPress makes you work kind of hard. So don't mind me. We're doing a little bit of
So while you're
it
doing that,
seems.
somebody asked if this is the only thing we're covering today. It is not. We're about 15 minutes. We're going to move into our other tools. So just hang tight.
Almost there, I
We,
promise.
we have
Oh, so
so
here's another thing too. I always recommend this, and I'm probably going to take you down into the weeds a little bit, but when you install a theme and you want to customize your theme, you also want to install what's called a child theme on top of the theme. And that's because any customizations that you make to your existing theme will be overridden every time there's an update.
Mhm.
So let's see if this now looks the way we want it to look. Or not, I guess. Let's go to, oh, I'm on the home page. Sorry. Let's do this one. Okay, that's what I wanted to see right there. So
Perfect.
this is the template I just installed on the Beaver Builder template I just installed. So see how it has this gorgeous image gallery here? It's already set and created for us.
And
And
you can
it has,
modify any of those sections so that they're customized specifically for you. So the thing about themes, and this is how you get a beautiful website set up fast. That's the point of this.
yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you
So
use Divi, Beaver Builder, Elementor, any of those things, you get a set of templates that come with those, and then there are add-on packs. And when you use Beaver Builder and you're part of our Insiders Club, we give you 2 add-on packs as well. So all told, we probably got about 400 themes for you, including landing pages and all kinds of stuff. So you just go in and you choose the one you want. Now, go back to Beaver Builder and show people how to switch that theme out real quickly. Are you still there?
refresh
Amy? Oh, wait. Okay.
and it wouldn't
You
start.
were breaking up there. Sorry.
Can you hear me all right?
Yep. And now.
Oh, sorry. I think it was my microphone is Okay, good.
So you just go back into Beaver Builder and you can change the theme to another theme. You can just test it out.
You know, the little dash isn't coming up for me. Oh, there we go. Okay,
It's
I
just
was having some
slow.
operator trouble. Don't mind me, it's early still. So see how I pulled up, okay, so I go over here to this plus up here in the right corner, right? So I'm in Beaver Builder and you can see that by this right here. So I just clicked on the Beaver Builder kind of WYSIWYG guy up here. So it'll show up here in this. And then I go to this plus and that pulls up the nice dash, the Beaver Builder dash that has all the options in it. So I could pull over an audio file, I could pull over a photo, etc. In this case, David wants me to swap out the template. And so here, we're going to do this one, Zen Life. And it's going to ask me if I want to replace the existing layout or if I want to append a new layout. In this case, we're going to replace.
And it says it's going to overwrite, and it does. So it's gone, but you haven't lost it. You can always go back to it if you want to.
Oh gosh, yes. So here you can see, and we're enjoying the simple living with the Zen Life, and it has these nifty little timers on here. And so you can go through. So Beaver Builder has the little editor. So the little wrench on Beaver Builder, that's how you make these changes. And happy thoughts from our Zen Life clients. So we can put in basically whatever we want, right? And then you hit save, and then it just made the change for us. And here you can make any of these changes. These are icons. We can change out this icon to whatever we want. And then here we have these little timelines that are kind of funny. And take note that everything is dynamic, right? So those didn't say 32% until I scrolled down to them. So it gives everything, it makes this website look active and engaging. Is there anything in here you want else to show, David?
No, I want to go through our last few questions, and I think we probably just need to move on, Amy. I think this has been really good to help people understand where we are so far. So let's see. Can you mix themes? So can you use Optimize Press, for example, and Beaver Builder on the same site? Talking about builders, not themes.
You can, but I've run into challenges with that. So I have seen clients who've tried to put more than one page builder on their website because they're trying to, say, swap over from one page builder to another. It works, but the page builders a lot of times kind of right over the top of each other. So for the one client I'm thinking of in particular, I have to disable her old page builder in order to make changes with the new page builder. And then I have to reactivate the old page builder so that her pages will generate properly, the older pages. So you can do it, but I don't recommend it. But what you can do is take note that Beaver Builder is the page builder. So you could have Beaver Builder as the page builder, but you could have a different theme if you wanted to. So for those of you who know Elementor finally just came out with, I think it's called the Hello theme, which is a really, really basic theme of theirs. But normally Elementor was just the page builder, and then you had to choose the theme to go with Elementor.
Okay, so let's see. Let's talk about, there's a couple of questions about a child theme in here as well. Let's just leave child theme as you have a foundation, which was the Beaver Builder theme, and then a child theme is something you put on top of that. And the child theme is where you work. The foundation you don't change. The child theme is what you work in, right? So
that's very perfectly worded. Yep.
Okay. All right, so talk about the focus key phrases. Does it need to match the title or heading phrases, or is it safe to make it different? What is a focus key phrase? This is right up your SEO alley.
It is. So if I'm trying to understand the question, basically the key phrase is the phrase that you want that particular post or page to be primarily centered around. So for example, David's free storytelling templates. We made that the primary phrase that a blog post on storytelling templates kind of revolved around. And so when you do that, you want that keyword free storytelling. And when you say keyword, it's really key phrase. So I'm going to use those interchangeably. So don't let that confuse you. It's just old habit of mine. So when you use that key phrase, you're going to want that key phrase to be in multiple places on a blog post. And then you're going to want supporting key phrases to go along with it. And in all of those key phrases, you want those key phrases to be something that people actually search for in Google. And when David goes through, it's not Longtail Pro, you had another keyword, a new keyword.
Yeah,
tool.
Keyword Atlas, yep.
Okay, yeah, so when David goes through that, then you'll see that there are a lot of tools out there that will tell you how many times a month people search for specific keyword phrases. And so free storytelling templates is searched, you know, what, 100 times a month or something like that. And so, but there are some key, so right now, I know COVID-19 symptoms, you know that right now, that keyword phrase is being searched a lot. And so somebody who wants to capitalize on that would put that phrase in their blog post all over the place, hoping that Google will acknowledge it and will put them on the first page.
And the competition for that would be huge. So
enormous, yeah. And I should also say that in terms of there's another phrase called long tail keywords. So the longer your keyword phrase is, the quicker, or no, the easier it will be for you to be, for Google to acknowledge you. So for example, I might have the keyword phrase container, let's see, growing cantaloupes in containers for my edible terrace. So that's a pretty long phrase, but people actually search for that. And so I'm on one of those phrases, I'm on the first page. It's a really long phrase though, but people put that stuff into Google. And so the longer your keyword is, the more likely you are to be ranked for it.
All right, so that's it for this. Now, Amy, you going to stick around today?
I am, yes.
This is Amy's website. I really encourage you to go over to eHemisphere, nams.ws/eHemisphere. I'll put this in the link or in the chat box actually, and you can go over there and take a look at what Amy's got for you as a oops, went too fast there. As a option. I mean, if you want somebody to take care of everything for you, that's what we do. We use Amy for this stuff, and she does a great job. She has an entire team now that is helping her do that kind of maintenance, installation, site building, all of that stuff. So, and better her than me. I don't want to do that anymore. I would prefer that everybody do that. So the link is in the chat box there. If you'd like to go over, just click on it. It'll take you there. All right, and I really appreciate Amy doing that. So